We've looked at using a fraction to express a quantity. We've looked at using a decimal to express a quantity. There's another way we can express a quantity, and it's a special way of expressing a quantity called the percent. The percent expresses how many out of 100. So if you say you have 18%, for example, let's just say 18% of the students at Southern State Community College are from Fayette County. A statement like that is really saying that 18 out of every 100 students attending Southern State are residents of Fayette County. So if we were to gather 100 students attending Southern State at random, brought them into a room, we would expect 18 of those 100 to be residents of Fayette County, if indeed it's true that 18% of the students are from Fayette County. If we said 26% of the students at Southern State are majoring in a medical field, then that means 26 out of every 100 students are majoring in one of the medical fields. And if we brought 100 students into a room at random, chosen from Southern State students, we would expect that 26 of them would be majoring in one of the medical fields. So a percent tells us about how many out of 100 are in a certain category. Well, sometimes we want to take that percent and convert it to its equivalent expression as a decimal. In order to do that, it involves moving the decimal point of the percent number and dropping the percent sign. And you'll notice on the videos that I've written these three words in this order: fraction, decimal, percent. And when you have to do the conversions that we're looking at, I would suggest you think of it that way, maybe even write them down, because that will help you in terms of knowing what to do when you make these conversions between the different kinds of expressions of a number. And if you want a nice, easy way, or at least a silly way, to remember the proper order in which to write them, I had a student, we were trying to come up with a silly way to remember fraction, decimal, percent. FDP, and the student said, frogs drink Pepsi. So think frogs drink Pepsi, FDP, fraction, decimal, percent. And I said, well, I agree with that completely. My sister-in-law, my one sister-in-law drinks Pepsi. She doesn't have sense enough to drink Coke. Yes, Pepsi is supposed to be for frogs. Coke is for people who really want a cola beverage. So if we're going to convert this expression of quantity as a percent into its equivalent as a decimal, you are moving on our little chart here, you're moving to the left, and that's the direction you move the decimal point. Well, in a number like this, where's the decimal point? Well, the decimal point would be to the right here, likewise here, likewise here. This particular percent already has a decimal point in it. So if we were going to convert 18% to its equivalent as a decimal, we would move the decimal point to the left, and we move it 2 places to the left, which would produce the decimal number 0.18, or more properly read, 1800ths. So if you say that 18% of the students at Southern State are from Fayette County, then you could also say 1800ths of the students. That portion of the whole 100%, that whole quantity of all of the students at Southern State, 18/100ths of them are from Fayette County. So 1800ths as a decimal is expressing the same quantity as 18%. To change 26% to a decimal, again, in our chart, we're moving to the left. So that's what we do. We move the decimal point to the left. Always move it 2 places to the left. So we move the decimal point 2 places to the left, drop the percent sign, and that gives us the decimal equivalent of that percentage. This number, this percent number, already has a decimal point in it. So we move it 2 places to the left, which means we're going to have to put in a 0 there between the decimal point and the 8. So tenths, hundredths, thousandths. 85 thousandths is the decimal equivalent of 8.5%. 85 thousandths would be the decimal equivalent of 8.5%. And again, going from percent to decimal, I'm going to the left on my Frogs Drink Pepsi chart. Going to the left, so that's the direction I move the decimal point. 130%, to change that to its equivalent as a decimal, the decimal point would be put between the 1 and the 3. That 0 on the end we can leave off if we want. And so 1 3/10, remember that's how you read a decimal number when there's a whole number part of it. 1 and, you read the decimal point with the word and. 1 3/10, which makes sense. That's more than 1, isn't it? And if you have 130%, you have more than the whole. The whole is 100%. So if you have 130%, you have more than 1, more than the whole. So we would expect as a decimal that the number would be greater than 1. So to convert a number expressed as a percent into its equivalent as a decimal, we're going to the left on our chart, and that's what we do. We move the decimal point to the left.